Your current meditation practice might actually be a cleverly disguised trap built by your own ego. You sit in silence and repeat mantras, yet the voice inside your head stays just as loud and neurotic as it always was. We are here to dismantle that trap using the Zen shock protocol. This is a 4-step method rooted in crazy wisdom, designed to manually short-circuit your analytical brain and force a moment of sudden awakening. To begin, find a private space. Bring to mind a specific, frustrating mental loop that has been bothering you lately, and drop all need to look dignified or serious. Achieving true silence requires abandoning the comfortable illusion of gradual self-improvement in favor of sudden psychological demolition. Step 1. Diagnose the narrator. Sit quietly and actively listen to the voice inside your head. Observe how it constantly narrates your life, judges your actions, and tries to maintain your identity as a holy persona. That incessant internal chatter, the part of you that operates on the structure of "I said to myself," is biologically rooted here, the default mode network. This system is the biological engine of the ego. The Tibetan master Chogyam Trungpa warned that this network is deceptive. He called this spiritual materialism. The ego survives by hijacking your meditation practice, dressing itself up in a monk's robe, and congratulating you on becoming a highly evolved person. Traditional Soto Zen attempts to quiet this network through gradual discipline, just sitting. But the masters of Rinzai Zen recognized that the ego often hides inside that very stillness, requiring a much more volatile approach. The ordinary intellect is a closed loop. You cannot use the mind to destroy the mind. Trying to think your way out of the ego is like a hamster running faster on a wheel to escape the cage. Genuine progress isn't about calmly observing your thoughts. It is realizing that the observer itself is just another biological trick of the default mode network. Breaking that trick requires a radical intervention. Step 2. Overload the analytical brain. Take that frustrating mental loop you identified earlier, or use a traditional paradoxical riddle, a koan, like "What is the sound of one hand clapping?" and focus on it with intense effort. A koan is not a puzzle meant to be solved. It is a precise mechanical tool designed to create massive cognitive friction. As you rationalize the irrational, your prefrontal cortex struggles to process the paradox. It drives processing to maximum capacity, like a processor nearing critical failure. Your logical matrix spins its wheels, building intense internal pressure with no possible resolution. This deliberate intellectual exhaustion is the required setup. The logical mind must be pushed to its breaking point. It has to overheat before it can be effectively shattered. Step 3. Administer the shock. At the peak of that mental frustration, introduce an extreme physical disruption. Plunge your face into freezing ice water or let out a sudden, deafening shout. This is the physical application of the Zen Slap. That intense physical shock entirely bypasses your overloaded prefrontal cortex. It forcefully knocks the default mode network offline in a fraction of a second. It throws you into a state of aporia, a state of undecidability and not knowing. The ego is built on knowledge and memory. Without its narrative context to cling to, it temporarily ceases to exist. Ancient masters understood this mechanism. They used shocking absurdity to force this state onto their most rigid, serious students. The 17th century master Hakuin once stormed into a hall full of devout monks wearing a colorful wig and a clown nose. He danced wildly without saying a word, shattering their expectations of what holiness looked like. Similarly, when a student asked Master Yunmen this sacred question, "What is Buddha?" Yunmen answered, "A dried shit stick." He pointed to a literal wooden stick used for cleaning toilets, forcing the student's mind to crash back into the unfiltered reality of the present moment. Whether the tool is freezing water, a literal slap, or a ridiculous clown nose, the specific method is irrelevant. The goal is the total annihilation of your carefully calculated persona. Step 4. The effortless surrender. In the microsecond following that physical shock, you must do nothing. Resist the temptation to analyze or label what just happened. The moment you strive to understand the shock, you instantly rebuild the ego. The Japanese master Bankei punished his body with extreme asceticism for years, coughing up blood in his desperate effort to achieve enlightenment. His violent striving was the exact mechanism keeping him trapped. It wasn't until he lay dying, completely drained of the energy to strive any longer, that he finally gave up. In that moment of surrender, he realized the unborn, the pure, unconditioned awareness that had been looking out of his eyes the entire time. When the shock hits, do not look for an answer. Simply rest in the pristine, empty gap between your thoughts that the intervention has violently ripped open. Enlightenment is not a mystical achievement added to your identity. It is the bare, unfiltered reality that remains when the striving self is removed. If you executed this correctly, your internal narrator was knocked entirely offline. For a brief second, you experienced Satori, a silent flash of unconditioned reality. This raw, jarring moment of genuine silence is a far cry from the safe, sterilized self-improvement sold by the modern spiritual marketplace. Whenever you find yourself trapped by the loops of the default mode network, deploy intentional absurdity or a sudden physical state change to break the cycle. To continue exploring these transmissions, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Stop trying to logically build a better version of yourself. Step out of the illusion of the thinking mind and embrace the terrifying freedom of